Welcome into another episode of the Laser Bros podcast. We are your hosts, Logan and Luke Lazarchik. Today, April 18th, 2025. NBA playoffs start tomorrow. There's still a couple play-in games tonight. Luke, how are you? I know you went to the driving range today and got a few good hits in. How was that?
Driving range was pretty good. Getting back into it. Couple nice swings, couple nice driver hits. I'm a little surprised how well I did. I didn't do like insane, but I had some nice hits. But I'm really looking forward to the playoffs. I mean, I think like obviously the West is amazing. The East has some interesting stuff, but the West is what I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, I think both conferences, of course, have storylines within the series, like Bucks Pacers, which we'll talk about here shortly. I think is very interesting. Knicks-Pistons, I think, is pretty interesting. But yeah, the West. I mean, any one of these teams could make a run to the conference finals at least. And I know like Clippers Nuggets, I think that's a tough series to choose. Rockets Warriors is very interesting. It's going to be a very interesting playoffs. And I think tomorrow the first game is Bucks Pacers, and then Clippers Nuggets at 2:30 is the second game. This is going to be one of the more entertaining playoffs I think that we've had in a while. I think the East we know it's probably a collision course between the Cavs and Celtics, but the West, I mean, it's wide open.
No, yeah, the West. I think that there can be multiple winners of the West. I honestly think at least four. Even though I think like there's a clear favorite, but four I would give a legit shot.
So let's start with the Eastern Conference side, and let's start with the Bucks and Pacers. That is the first series that will kick it off tomorrow. They play at noon. Very interesting series. I would say, Damian Lillard is now clear to play at some point in the series. He's going to be out game one. How big of addition to the Bucks is that? And are we overstating it? Because he is coming back from a blood clot, and it's not like, and he's already been out 3 weeks. I don't think it's automatic that he's just going to come in and be as productive as many people think.
I mean, I guess I look at this series different. I think I'm really looking at Giannis, and Giannis has not had a true healthy playoff like where he's been healthy in the past 2 years. And I think that's really a huge thing. I think Lillard, honestly, at this point, is addition just because I don't think they expected this and he could come back. But, I mean, I guess I don't really know how blood clot stuff works. But he's been working out, progressing. I feel like he's just going to be another addition. I don't think the Bucks are that good, but I just think Giannis is – Jokic is clearly best player, and I think Giannis is like, for me, he's number two. I feel pretty good about that. That at this moment, I feel like Luka and Shea have like a chance. Edward Ant in the future, but not now. But like Giannis right now is cemented at number two. It's just because there's someone who's so good.
Yeah, and I don't know anything about blood clots and all that. I do know that he was on blood thinners. I am shocked that he was cleared. So it was kind of out of the blue that Shams reported that he is going to play at some point during the series, not game one, but. For me, this series, and I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, but when we look at things like just overall in sports, I think I value depth more. Like you look at star power and stars more and value that more, and that's why you kind of like when in college basketball, you'll pick teams if they have star power.
Yeah,
you don't really. Care about
definitely, I bite the bullet with that a lot.
Yeah, and I kind of value depth, and that's kind of why. I still like the Pacers in this series. I still think the Bucks, I don't think are that great of a team. Giannis, I think he was averaging 30, 11, and 12. Not saying that and not trying to take anything away from that, but it was against lower competition. I do think the Pacers can offer. I mean, they're a playoff team. They're the 4th seed in the East. For me, the Pacers' depth, I think, is going to overwhelm the Bucks in this series. And who for the Bucks, you're depending on players like Kyle Kuzma. Kevin Porter Jr. Those guys are absolute wild cards, and I don't think you're going to. You're not going to see them consistently perform for 4 wins. I think, and I think that's problematic for the Bucks. And I also don't trust Doc Rivers when it comes to the NBA playoffs anymore.
No, I get that, but here's the thing. Let's say Lillard comes back. I've always been a Halliburton fan, but. You can argue Lillard's still better than Halliburton. Halliburton's not been the same as he was beginning the first half of last season. Miles Turner hasn't been exceptionally
He's been pretty good since the All-Star break, though.
Yeah, but I think to beat the Bucks, you're going to need him to be a star. And just in the playoffs, depth matters, but your depth gets cut down. You're not playing 10, 11 guys. You're probably playing 7 to 9. And 9's a lot. So
I still think so. The Pacers have that capability of doing that. The Bucks, I don't think have you cut your bench, of course, in the playoffs, but I don't think the Bucks even have that ability. For me, the fact that they are going to depend on Kyle Kuzma and Kevin Porter Jr. for consistent minutes and consistent production, I just think that's very problematic. And I think Damian Lillard has a much better chance of, averaging 15 to 16 points and, scoring 30 plus points in multiple games this series. And I think that's what's going to have to take for the Bucks to win this series. I don't think Giannis is going to be able to do what he's been doing the latter half of the season. And that's not saying he's
But why not?
It's
not like the Pacers have – Miles Turner hasn't been as good as rim protector, and, they're going to put Jarris Walker on him. I think I saw something like that, Jarris Walker could be used more. And it's okay, Jarris Walker barely plays, and now he's going to be – I'm looking at it in the future. I'm just seeing this Giannis series, which is he has not had a moment since 2021. And I see this – I know you're not being anyone special, but I see him having this moment. And then if Lillard's really healthy, I see it he has this moment, and then you look – Next series, they play the Cavs. Cavs are going to beat whoever they face. And could he do this now? So that's just how I see it in my eyes. It's not. I know it's not the most logical. I just had this sense, not as if I.
So what are you expecting from Damian Lillard? Because I really don't think.
A few games. I
kind of have my doubts about this. I mean, he's an older player. He hasn't been playing for weeks. I don't think he's just going to come right in and be on rhythm. I don't think that's going to be the case. And if let's say he's coming in game 3, game 4, and you're already down the series, I just don't. And Pacers, I think, should win. They're the better team. They should win the series. And a lot of people are picking the Bucks because of just Giannis. But I think in the playoffs, you need that depth. And for me, I've always been a person that's valued depth and more pieces around than just a star player. And I know sometimes star players overpowers, but for me in the series, I just think the Bucks are not that good of a team. You have Pat Connaughton, Brooke Lopez. It's an older team. Giannis.
No, I know it's not great. I know it's not great, but I literally just think Giannis is going to take this series by storm. I think for Pacers to win, Halliburton needs to play like a true star.
And what is that?
That's 25 points and 10 assists a game. He needs to. He can't just be scoring 18. He needs to really get the scoring going.
So, predicting the series, before you tell me who win, I already know who you were kind of already making it obvious who we're picking. But how many games do you see a series going to? And how many games? Is there any way do you see a series being potentially a 4-1 series, or do you think this is a 6-7 game series?
This is 6-7. I feel like either way, it's 6-7.
Okay, and I'm going to take Pacers in 6.
Yeah, I'm taking Bucks.
Yeah, and I could see Pacers in 5, but they have shown the ability to screw up games, turnovers, bad shot selection. I just don't think Giannis is going to be able to carry this team because I don't think the supporting cast is that good. Now, if the Bucks lose, is Giannis going to be moved this offseason? I think that's one of the biggest storylines following the series if the Bucks lose. And I think the Heat are a really good fit. I don't know what they would give up. I think they've accumulated some trade pieces throughout the trades that they made this season. But Heat are the first team in mind that come to me that, Giannis fits.
I mean,
I know there's rumors that he wants to go to New York.
Yeah, but what would the Heat give up? You have to give a Bam or Hero. It's not like, I'm going to give them Wiggins and then our limited picks and Jovic and Jaime Jaquez, who doesn't ever play. I don't think the Heat have enough. I haven't thought of the perfect fit. You know what the perfect fit would be? Denver, put them with Jokic, have fun. But that wouldn't happen. But that'd be cool. No. That'd be really cool.
Let's move to the 3-6 matchup in the East. The Knicks and the Pistons. The Pistons won the season series 3-1. Really, I mean, they lost the first meeting in November and won 3 straight against the Knicks. Cade Cunningham's averaging north of 30 points against the Knicks. Jalen Brunson's averaging more than 30 points against the Pistons. How do you see this one playing out? And the Knicks, they're heavy favorites. I think they're minus 430 just to win the series. So Vegas clearly thinks New York's experience is probably the deciding factor in this series.
And I agree with Vegas. I mean, I'm just looking at it. Who would you take? Who do you think currently is the better player, Brunson or Cade?
I mean, at this moment, Brunson, but I do think after a year, Cade will be.
No, yeah, but right now, Brunson's better, and Brunson has the experience. And then who's the second best player? Well, that's Cat, obviously. Who's the third best player? You can pick OG or Mikal or Josh. Well, who's the fourth? You pick one of the others. Who's the fifth? You pick the last one.
You would take Mikal over Cade? I don't think I think I would have Cade.
No, Cade's second. My bad. Cade's second. But then third, I said that wrong. Third is Cat. Fourth is.
I was going to say, you had like 4 or 5 Knicks players before Cade.
No, but the top 5 players, 4 are Knicks. And the Knicks are going to play those players a lot. And I don't think they'll be, I mean, unless they get hurt game 1 or 2, but they've been riding strong. I'm not expecting any injuries. Those guys have playoff experience. All have big OG like played.
OG's played well.
Yeah, he's had big playoff experience. Brunson, we know Hart makes shots. Cat, I still think he broke my heart. He played well against Jokic last year. I don't know. The Pistons are fun, but they remind me with no Jaden Ivey, and Jaden Ivey would still be 6, and it wouldn't be close. But like the 6th best player in the series, I don't even know who it is. I don't know. Malik Beasley. It's like it reminds me of the Nets.
I'd probably say Tobias. I'd probably say Tobias Harris over Malik.
Yeah, but Tobias Harris sucks in the playoffs.
That's true, but like. For me, the Pistons. I mean, so initially when this line came out, I was very, very close to betting the Pistons just for the value. I think it's like plus 340. I've kind of leaned back more to the Knicks side. I do think Pistons can give the Knicks problems, and we've seen it throughout the season. I know the regular season is much different than the postseason. Officiating's different, plays different. Your rotation's different, like you've mentioned. I do think the Pistons' overall physicality and ability to switch on ball screens against Brunson, I do think they've given Karl-Anthony Towns fits throughout the entire season. I know Karl-Anthony Towns has averaged a lot of points, but got him into foul trouble, and Karl-Anthony Towns is prone into, committing stupid fouls. So I do like the Knicks in series, but I do think Pistons could push this to a 6-game series.
I really don't, because also who has a playoff experience? It's Tobias, Malik Beasley, and Tim Hardaway, and that's all limited in their roles. And like Cade, it's his first playoff series. Duran's first playoff series. It's Stuart Thompson's first. Ron Holland's first. Isaiah Stewart's first. I don't know. I just don't. This seems very Philly, New Jersey Nets. Or no, they were Brooklyn Nets. Yeah, Brooklyn Nets. When they had like D'Lo and Karis LeVert and Jared Allen and Jared Dudley, and I think they took game 2, and then just Philly took it in 5. That's how I feel like this series is.
So I'm guessing you're going to say like Knicks like in 5.
I'm saying Knicks in 5, but I think it could be a sweep.
See, I just don't. Knicks, their depth is a question mark for me. And of course, like you said, Pistons are a young team. I'm going to say Knicks in 6, even though there is a world where I see the Pistons somehow winning this series, but at this time, I'm going to say New York, just because young teams kind of have to go through that growing pain before they, establish themselves in the playoffs. And I do think the Pistons are, they're without Jay and Ivy, and they're probably another, really good piece away from being like true contenders of the East. But yeah, New York, I think the only reason to take New York right now is just experience, but and they're clearly the better team as well. But I do think this is going to be a more interesting series than you believe it will be.
Yeah, I'm not too interested. I'd rather the Pistons face the Pacers, because that's kind of depth on depth. Cade could outshine Tyrese. I think that would have been more interesting.
A series that I don't think will be interesting at all, the Celtics and the Magic. We don't really have to talk much about this one. The Magic defeated the Hawks in the play-in game to earn the 7th seed. I mean, the only question is, how many games does this go? I think we obviously both have Celtics winning. The question is, do you have them sweeping, or do you think Magic could steal a game?
I'm really torn on if they'll steal a game. I have a bet with Celtics sweeping, but I do think that Paulo or Franz has a good game where maybe Tatum is And Jaylen Brown's injury is a little like if Jaylen Brown can't play because of his knee thing, like this could go 6 because Paulo and Franz, and then maybe if Cole Anthony has a really good game or something like that. But I mean, Celtics in 5. That's what I got.
The only way, like Celtics in past playoffs, like last season, for example, in the playoffs, I believe they won every series in 5 games, if I'm remembering correctly. But each game that they lost within those series, it was self-inflicted. And that's the only way I see Boston losing a game in this series is just, they're just not shooting well. They live and die by a 3. So if they're not hitting their shots, it's going to be a long game. For me, though, even if Jaylen Brown is out, and he's not out, there's no reports of him, being not able to play. But I don't think Magic are not that good of a 3-point shooting team. And I just think for that fact that it's not going to be able to keep up with Boston, even if Brown is out.
No, yeah, they can't.
And Celtics are pretty deep. I mean, Pritchard has, broke out this year. He's scoring double-digit points off the bench. Boston has too much firepower, and I think it would either have to take them playing really bad or Magic just, shooting lights out, which is something that they are not prone to do because that's not the type of team they are. So I see this in a sweep. Maybe Magic takes a game, but I see Boston at 4 pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, I just see a game because Boston screws up a lot in stupid ways.
Do we want to cover the Cavs and, against the winner of tonight's play-in? Do we want to cover that at all, or do we just want to go straight to the Western Conference, which is I really like to the East first because the Western Conference is what really conversation.
I mean, here's the thing with the Cavs: you better don't lose 2 games if you want to be taken serious as a title contender, which I am taking them seriously. Win this in 4 or 5. Maybe if you face the Heat and Hero and Bam have a game where you face the Hawks and Trae Young is just diamond and hitting threes, but win this in 4 or 5.
Yeah, I don't, and I think this could be another sweep. I do think the Heat have a better chance of stealing a game or 2 off the Cavs, even though they're pretty limited. But I do think, coaching, they have a lot of experience in these type of games. Hawks, I just don't like. Trae Young's your best player, and I don't necessarily trust him at all. And I do think Trae Young could be moved this offseason if they lose tonight, or if they handily lose against the Cavs, which that'll probably happen as well.
I think it's going to be where, since Jalen Johnson's been out and they're playing pretty well with him, this is before Ricochet took a step. I think they'll start the season with Trae Young, and it'll be, if they struggle, maybe they trade him mid-season. I don't think they'll trade him off-season.
See, if that's the thought, if that's a thought process, okay, we're gonna if we're bad, they don't want to go into next year with the same thing of if we're bad, we'll trade Trae Young.
But I think that this year, Jalen Johnson getting hurt was huge. Jalen Johnson was averaging, let me look what he was averaging. He was playing he was getting where, like, is he better than Trae Young? I mean, you're losing. He averaged 19, 10, and 5. I mean, and he was just getting better. I mean, I think that's kind of.
I think the amount of piece, I don't know what you get in return for Trae Young, but I think the pieces draft wise and player
think you get a ton.
No, I don't think you get a ton either. But and maybe he's improved his defense slightly this season, but he's still a defensive liability.
No, I'd give it a shot though. I'd give it one last shot. You got like 30 games, play well. 40 games, whatever it is. I'd give it one more shot because I also don't think you're getting anything insane.
Yeah, for me, Trae Young, I just kind of – I think the year they went to conference finals, I think that was kind of a fluke. I think the Sixers pretty much choked that series. So if I'm them, I would trade them this offseason and try to build – because the way they built their team, you have a lot of great defenders on the wing and in the guard position. So – I don't know. Trae Young just doesn't really seem like a fit there anymore based on what they're building.
I think you can have one guy who kind of, he's still your facilitator. He still can. His best game is, even though I like Jalen Johnson, his best game is way better than what Jalen Johnson can do. I mean, Trae Young's best game could just be insane. I mean, we've seen him steal games in series before, so I still like him.
Let's move to the Western Conference playoffs. Really, 3 really interesting series. We'll start with the Rockets and Warriors. This series is one of the toughest to predict because Rockets, the 2 seed, really young, one of the youngest teams in the in the league, and you have the Warriors who are older group with Steph, Jimmy, and Draymond, and they kind of drag their feet through the last part of the season. I mean, what Jimmy Butler and Steph combined for 75 points, and they barely beat the Grizzlies.
Mm-hmm.
I do think this is going to be an interesting series. I think Rockets, I would say, have the advantage in a lot of spots outside of the best player and coaching the series. They have length, they have size, rebounding. They can really take you out of your game. How do you kind of see this one playing out, and what are some things you're going to be watching in this series that would be a telling sign?
I'm really torn on this series because, like, if you go to my logic for Knicks-Pistons, Knicks-Pistons and Bucks-Pacers, I was really going like the star over. But I mean, Amen Thompson, not that he's not going to shut down Steph Curry in the playoffs, but when they played a couple weeks ago, I mean, it was like
3
one
points.
of Steph's worst games ever. Best 2 players are Steph and Jimmy, but I feel like Şengün's going to have a great series. Jalen Green will have his moments. I don't love Jalen Green. But the Rockets just have a lot of things I like, and they have a good coach. I mean, Udoka is a good coach. He has had success on the court with the Celtics and with the Rockets. But I do think this is going to be a battle. I think there's going to be games where we look at it and like, man, the Warriors just don't have anything. And then there'll be games where like, man, Steph and Jimmy are insane. But I lean Rockets. But I don't love it because the best 2 players are on the Warriors. But I think like Steve Kerr can get outcoached. I don't like that's the coaching to me is pretty even. I think Şengün has a big series from Şengün. And then you still have people like Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks, Jabari Smith. I mean, they have so much depth. It's crazy. And usually I don't like the depth. But just here, it just makes sense for me here. This is like so different from my arguments in the Eastern Conferences. I just think the Rockets are better.
Yeah, and like for me, the Warriors, it's really Steph and Jimmy dependent. And to be honest, like the knock against the Rockets in these playoffs is their youth. But if you look at like the Warriors, outside of Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy, and I know that's 3 or 5 stars, I realize that. We have players like who Mose Moody has, but like Santos may be getting minutes. Kuminga, I mean, I think Kuminga should minutes in the series just based off of his athleticism. I know he's not the most trustworthy player, but they're going to have to get rebounds in the series. And I think he can offer that with his athletic ability. But
I think
there's a lot of players on the Golden State Warriors that have not been in these spots, and then you have an older Steph, older Jimmy, and older Draymond. And Draymond, against when he's overmatched size-wise, you kind of see him struggle defensively, even though he's still a really good defender.
Well, I think Kuminga, it's because he can't really shoot that well. Jimmy can't shoot that well from 3, and Draymond can't shoot that well. So it's just I don't think he has a fit here. And then that's just going to make the Rockets even easier, their defense too. Unless you say Şengün's not the best defender, let's really try to just go inside on them a lot. But I don't – that's a weird one. Steve Kerr definitely has a thing where, like, he'll just bench a dude. And, like, looking at the Olympics, Tatum, he just benched Tatum. He's not afraid to bench someone. But, I mean, maybe he gets used in this series. And, like, I could see Kerr, though, like, not using him. And then it's, like, game 4, they're down 2-1. And then Kuminga comes in as, like, 10 points in 12 minutes. So it's interesting, but I lean Rockets. But I lean Rockets in 7. But then I think about, man, if it's game 7 –
the thing is, if they lose game, let's say they're up 3-2 in game 6 and they lose that game, I don't know if you can be Steph in a game 7. Like Steph a couple years ago, I think dropped 50 points in game
50. 7. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think that was his last game 7. He dropped 50. So I think I want to lean Rockets in 6.
But I just don't think like the Warriors. To me, I think there's very worrisome signs because one, you were up by 20 against the Grizzlies at home. You then were like you blew that 20-point lead. And Steph and Jimmy combined for over 70 points, and you still barely won that game. And I don't think it's going to look much different. Like I still think it's going to be Jimmy and Steph dependent, and then you're going to hope that the role players, a game or two, kind of play over like what they are. And 38 and 37 points. I mean, how many times are you going to see Jimmy and Steph What they're going to do that all 4 games? I just don't know if that. And Houston, like a question for me with Houston is who is their closer? Because the series is not going to be a blowout game. There's going to be close games. Who's going to be your closer? ideally, you probably want Jalen Green because he's your most talented player, but I just don't know if he's trustworthy. I mean, he's shooting. I think 42% from the field. He's not an efficient shooter by any means.
I think we'll see a lot more of Rockets win by near double digits to double digits. Warriors win by 3 to 5. I think that's how Warriors win. I like Warriors in close games, but I think Rockets are just better.
And now, in the season, the largest margin of these games was 10 points. They're all close games between these two.
No, yeah.
So, but I'm going to take the Rockets in 6, and I say 6 because if it goes 7, I'd be very worried about a young team in Game 7. So I'm going to say Houston in 6. I think it's overall size, even if they're not shooting particularly well, I think you're going to see them get a lot of offensive rebounds because they just have way more size than the Warriors. And maybe Kevon Looney plays more minutes that he's been playing, but he's not athletic or anything like that. And the Rockets have a lot of athletic bigs. So I'm gonna go with Houston, and if they, it's one of those picks where I'm not totally confident. I did put money on the Rockets to win the series at plus odds. I'm like, I'll take the 2 seed with home court advantage against a Warriors team that it's really based on how well Steph and Jimmy Butler are playing. And the non-Steph minutes are going to be huge in the series. And Jimmy Butler's kind of been able to carry the team while Curry's been resting. But those will be the minutes where I think the series will be decided and the games will be decided. When Steph's off the court, how are these teams playing?
Yeah, I definitely agree. But the non-Steph minutes are huge.
Next series, and this one, I'm going to watch every game of this, and I'll probably watch every game of the Western Conference playoffs. To be honest with you, at least the first round. Lakers-Timberwolves. Lakers are the favorites right now. I think at -196 to win the series. The Timberwolves were just tormented by Luka a year ago when he played for Dallas. I'm thinking it's going to be the same type of game plan the Lakers are going to incorporate with Luka against the Timberwolves this time around as well. How do you see a series playing out? And is Rudy Gobert going to be taken out of the series just because, Lakers may play small ball, get him in switches, make him guard on the perimeter?
Well, I feel like you can't fully take him out because if they have a lineup with Vanderbilt in it, he can guard him and then maybe focus more on trying to come help, and you kind of let Vanderbilt do stuff. Even though Vanderbilt every once in a while can do something. And then when Hayes is in, I feel like you have to play Hayes some minutes because you need some size. Even though the Lakers are not super tall, but they got a lot of big bodies. You're giving LeBron a week of rest. You're giving Luka a week of rest. I just really like the Lakers here. And I honestly, Anthony Edwards was really good. And here, the thing is, who's going to be guard? You're going to have Finney Smith, who's a good defender, and you're going to have Vanderbilt. But those guys do a little better with size, and Ant is just so explosive. So I think Ant's going to score. But it's do I trust Julius Randle?
Yeah.
No. DiVincenzo, we'll see. Naz Reid hasn't been as great this year. I think he started off well and slowed down, if I'm correct. So I just really like
Mike Conley's older player. For me, I think Anthony Edwards may average over 35 points a series. But I think the Lakers are going to be fine with letting him go off and not letting anybody. I do think they're going to double Anthony Edwards at times. And that's what a lot of teams do, is kind of force the other players on Minnesota to beat you. The one advantage Minnesota has in the series is, size. But I think that's going to be neutralized because Naz Reid isn't a physical big man. He's more finesse, shooting threes on the outside. And Rudy Gobert, we've seen in the playoffs, he constantly gets taken out of these series because he gets put in pick and roll situations and can't guard the perimeter. And then he doesn't really have a go-to move offensively. He's kind of a stiff player. I think the Lakers are going to go small in this series. I don't think you're going to see Jackson Hayes play a lot of minutes. He'll start the game 1.
Yeah, he'll start
games. They'll see how it kind of goes. They'll see how that kind of goes. But I think they're going to go small ball, Hachimura at the 5, LeBron at the 5 at times, and just put Rudy Gobert in pick and roll. I really think this is a really bad matchup for Minnesota. I think Lakers – I think this could be a 5-game series, in all honesty, because all the Timberwolves' weaknesses – line up perfectly with what the Lakers are really good at. And so, like you said, LeBron a week of rest, Luka a week of rest, and home court advantage. I just don't really trust Minnesota in these type of spots.
I feel last year, but I feel like it's Luka's the best player, Ant's the second best, but then like he's better than LeBron? I mean, it's LeBron. And then you have Reeves, and like those are the star level players. And then like Randall, but it's like Finney-Smith and Rui are like not that far behind him, or neither is Vanderbilt. Gabe Vincent's starting to play a lot better. Yeah, he's playing a lot better. And like if you get Miami Heat playoff Gabe Vincent, this is done. I'm picking 5. I think it may go 6, but I'm picking Lakers in 5. The Lakers in 5.
Yeah, I did put a good amount of money on Lakers -1.5 series spread. Like that's probably my most confident line of these. Like Lakers, I just don't think. Like I think they're gonna win the first 2 games pretty easily, and then they'll probably steal one in Minnesota, and Minnesota will win one at home. But I just think Minnesota does not match up well with the Lakers, and we've seen what Luka did to Timberwolves last season in the playoffs. He absolutely tortured them, and so I think it's gonna be the same type of game plan. But now you put LeBron in the mix. Austin Reeves can give you valuable points, and JJ Redick, coaching wise, I mean, I think he's proven a lot of doubters wrong. I think a lot of people, including myself, I was kind of skeptical of the hire because he had just retired. He was an analyst, and he's a first-time head coach coaching the Lakers. But he's done a great job with LA, and he's kind of, I mean, they're the 3 seed. I mean, they get Luka, and I forgot what seed they were when they made that trade for Luka, but they certainly weren't in this position. I think they were like a 7 or 8 seed when they made that trade. So the Lakers, to me, I still think Minnesota wants to shoot the 3, and I don't think they're efficient enough at that. They're not good at spot-up shots. They're more, Anthony Edwards is more of a rhythm shooter, getting himself in rhythm off the dribble. He's not a spot-up shooter, and I just don't think they're going to be able to make enough shots to beat Lakers. I think Lakers don't play that much defense, but I think it's just going to be pretty simple doubling Ant and forcing Randall, who hasn't played well in the playoffs, and some of these other players to hit shots.
Mm-hmm.
So you said Lakers in 5?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll say Lakers in. I'm gonna say Lakers in 5 as well. I'm pretty confident that they'll just pretty much dominate this series.
Mm-hmm.
Next series, I'm very curious of what your thoughts are on this because of your boy Nikola Jokic.
My boy.
Nuggets versus Clippers. Nuggets have home court advantage. The vibes just are not that great right now with the Nuggets. We don't know how healthy Jamal Murray is. Clippers, I mean, it's the same question every year when you have Kawhi. Is he going to end up getting hurt at some point in the series? Kind of tough to put trust in them because of that. And then James Harden, in the playoffs is not the same player as he is in the regular season. Mm-hmm. How do you see this playing out, and what are some of the keys of the series when you look at
I think this is the battle of the first round. I think this is it. You're having the Nuggets fired Mike Malone, but then they won 3 straight against good teams. No, I mean, Rockets when they Rockets probably weren't going to win that game.
Well, Rockets players started that game though.
Yeah, but they hadn't played in a week, and it was weird. And then I think they only played 20 something minutes. Their starters, I think they're okay, we're done. But the Nuggets are playing a lot better in the last 3 games. Jamal Murray he played a few games, and now he gets a week off. But then you look at the Clippers, Zubac is really good. And he's had some good games against Jokic where he doesn't outplay Jokic, but he battles. And it's not 50-50, but it's maybe 58-4-2. He battles 60-40. Harden's playing well. Kawhi looks...
No, Kawhi, I was watching that Warriors game because I had a bet on that game. I had the Clippers money line. I haven't seen him play. He looks like his, prime, moving. He was coasting by Jimmy Butler, dominating Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler's not a small player by any means, and Jimmy Butler's a very good defender. And Kawhi kind of made him look small and just dominated. Mm-hmm. Got to his spot each and every time down the floor.
No, yeah. I think there's a chance that Aaron Gordon is the second best Nugget, and they can still win the series. Because usually,
I think that's a problem if he's your second best player.
But he's been playing a lot better lately. He had a few. If I check. He had a few 30-pointers recently. I could be wrong, but I feel like he did. But he's going to be guarding Kawhi. And so that'll be something to look at. I mean, he had 33 against Memphis, 30 on April 1st against Minnesota, 20. So he's had some higher scoring games, and then randomly has a 5-pointer in there. But so he's been stepping it up there. So I think he is really the X factor. I mean, Jokic is just so good. But it's tough, but I think the Clippers. What helps the Nuggets is the Clippers don't have great depth. either. Nuggets don't have great depth. I mean, Westbrook's your best bench player, and people are giving Westbrook a lot of garbage. I mean, Westbrook's still been pretty good for the Nuggets this year. He did choke that Minnesota game. Like, that was terrible. But he was really good against the Rockets in the game before. We'll see how much he does. I've always loved Westbrook, but it's like you still know what can happen. So that'll be very interesting. And I think it's going to be the best series.
Yeah, I think there's so many moving parts in this series just based on the fact that you don't know if you never know when Kawhi's going to go down.
You never know.
You just don't know that. James Harden, you don't know which version of him you're going to get. I think the Zubac versus Nikola matchup is going to be the pivotal point in this series because Zubac has shown ability to – you're not going to stop Jokic. Jokic will get his numbers. Yeah. But he has shown ability to stand up and force Jokic to make, tough shots over and over again. And so I do think Zubac – and I wonder if the Nuggets on those entry passes to Zubac, if they double him and force him to kick it out, or if they just kind of let him go one-on-one with Nikola.
Yeah.
It's very interesting because Nikola – and like for the Nuggets – I mean, for Jamal Murray, you're going to have to go against Chris Dunn, Norman Powell, Kawhi. They're going to switch those players on him every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I think he's going to have a long series, and he has not been that great this year. I don't think he's going to be that great in this series. You're going to be having to depend on Michael Porter Jr. He's way too streaky of a shooter. Christian Brown has definitely improved this season. He's taken that leap, but he's still not. You're not scared of him shooting from the outside.
Yeah.
Aaron Gordon's not a jump shot or a jump shooter. And they don't play defense. I think as long as Clippers just stay healthy for the duration of the series, I do have them winning it. But I think this could go 6-7. But if it's 7 games, like right now, I'm picking the Clippers to win. But Game 7 in Denver, that kind of shows you that the series is already neck and neck. And then you give Nikola a Game 7. I would be pretty worried about the Clippers if it went to Game 7. But I'm going to take the Clippers in 6 games and closing the series out at home.
I have his poster there on my wall right here. You can't see it.
Okay, so before you make your pick, if you do pick Clippers, it does surprise me that you would pick against Nikola Jokic, but you would pick Giannis, they don't have that great of a team around you.
First off, the Clippers are way better than the Pacers. Well, they're way better. But I'm taking my boy Jokic in 7. He's going to figure out a way to win it. And then he's probably going to use everything he's got to win this series. Like, I'm expecting a Jokic masterpiece. And then he's probably going to have to go up against OKC.
Do you think Clippers just let him get his – like, do you think the Clippers double him at all?
I think they'll switch it up.
Okay.
Because the thing
with Clippers, though, they have a lot of great defenders. And a lot – like, Chris Dunn has, I think, a 6'11" wingspan. Kawhi's a great defender. Norman Powell's a solid defender. No, I don't know if they necessarily have to double Jokic to disrupt passing lanes. I don't think they necessarily have to.
That is an advantage. I think after this series, we're going to be like, we already love Jokic so much. We're going to be like, look what he just did. And then he's going to have to face OKC, and everyone's going to forget about it. Even though I think, honestly, the Nuggets, just not talent, but matchup, they match up better against OKC. Not saying I would then pick them to beat OKC. But after they go through, I think it's going to be a gauntlet 7-gamer. I don't love their odds against the Thunder. And for the I think, let's say it's Game 7. I think I like Nuggets to win, but I think Clippers would have a better chance of then advancing past the Thunder. Very, very good series.
Okay, and do we want to touch on Thunder versus one of these two teams tonight, or is that just kind of foregone?
I don't know. I mean, it's like Dallas is so weird, and then Memphis is also so weird, and it's weird.
Who do you have winning these 2 playing games tonight, by the way?
I have
Heat and the Mavs.
I have Hawks and the Grizzlies, so we're opposite.
Okay, so we're opposite. Okay. Do you have your Eastern Conference Finals and Western Conference Final predictions? Just throwing out 2 teams that you think will be there at the end.
I think it's going to be Thunder, Lakers, Celtics, Cavs, and I think the Thunder will squeeze by in 6. Even though if it gets Game 7, it's over. And I was on the Cavs for a while, but the Jaylen Brown injury is scary, but I'm barely going to pick Celtics.
Regular season and postseason are 2 different things. I do not think the Cavs are going to be Like, I think the East is so weak; those two teams will be in the conference finals. Like, I just don't think the Knicks don't. I think Knicks are 0-8 against
Yeah,
those
Knicks
two.
aren't beating the Celtics. I honestly would like the Bucks, give the Bucks a better chance of being the Cavs than Knicks being the Celtics. But so I'll have Celtics Thunder. The Thunder are just too good. They're too good. I'll have Thunder winning it all.
Lakers Thunder is going to, if that's the conference finals, Lakers beat them by like they blew them out recently, and then they were up by one in the fourth before Luka got ejected. So
yeah,
I do think it's interesting, but I'm going to go Lakers Celtics. I think we're going to get a matchup that reminds us of 1980s basketball. I do think it's going to be those two teams.
that'd be wild.
I think Lakers don't play enough defense, but I think this trade between the Mavs and Lakers is just going to be even more torturous for Mavs fans when Luka's in the finals. It kind of feels like that way. And I would love to see LeBron win another title.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I do think, though, because that's what makes it also interesting if it's Celtics, because Jaylen Brown guards Luka well, but Jaylen Brown's knee, I mean, if his knee's bothering him in that finals, it's like, then you're hurt guarding Luka. It's just like, but if he's healthy, then I like Celtics. I feel like Lakers, Cavs, even though the Cavs have a lot of size, but it's not the most massive size, but the Evan Mobley and Allen. Thunder, I just feel like we're going to beat the Cavs. They'd beat the Cavs. I mean, Shea's better than Donovan Mitchell. I feel like I still like the two big men, but the Thunder.
Yeah, and Cavs Lakers, who are the top two players in the series? Would you say it's Luka and LeBron? Like, would you have?
Donovan Mitchell's been really good. That's like a toss up. I mean, but like I like Garland a lot. Garland's better than Reeves, and then Mobley is probably still better than Reeves. I think, yeah. And then, but Reeves is good. Then you have Allen. And I like the Cavs. Like
they do have Daniel Hunter too. Like, yeah, that's a lot of.
You
and
Ty Jerome. Hunter.
Oh yeah, not Daniel Hunter.
DeAndre
Hunter. Yeah, I keep saying.
No, yeah, I love Ty Jerome's awesome.
Yeah, like I said, I think these playoffs are going to be very interesting. I think this may be one of the most like compelling round one overall, because most of the times it's like in recent years it's like, okay, Warriors are going to be in the Western Conference Finals against whoever, Nuggets, Clippers, whatever, and the East is always, East is still kind of mundane. You still expect it to be a clear course, but I do think it's going to be an interesting first round, and these playoffs are going to, like, the first two games are going to lead right into the NFL draft. So
yeah,
I'm
excited. And even though I have Lakers in 5 against Timberwolves, like that, I think those are going to be mostly very close games.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's going to be like a blowout games, but I just think the Lakers kind of match up.
I like Lakers at the end of the games.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about before we close out today's episode?
I don't know. I do think if I had to pick a sleeper team, it's the Bucks. That's my sleeper team. That's just like my sleeper team to like make the Eastern Conference Finals.
I can't believe you're trusting a Doc Rivers coach team. I really can't.
Giannis is playing so well. He hasn't had a moment in a while. I can sense a Giannis moment out of nowhere.
I don't think he has another moment in Milwaukee. I think this will be it, and he's going to get traded.
I think he has a moment here, at least against the Pacers. I think he has a moment, and I think he can take the Cavs. That'd be Cavs Bucks. I think just watching Giannis go against that team would be fun.
Like what happens in the that's another thing. When Giannis is off the court,
he's playing like 40-something minutes a game probably. And if you have Lillard, I don't know. I like Giannis. He's playing really well.
Yeah, and next week we will probably we usually do these on Fridays, so we'll probably do a recap of the NFL first round, probably our reactions, analysis of picks made. But until then, make sure to subscribe to the channel, follow the channel, give us a like button, and make sure to also follow us on Spotify as well. But until then, we'll see you guys next week, and we'll probably be recapping the first round of the NFL draft.
Peace.